podcast for the rest of the week coming up in just a bit.
Prominent South Carolina attorney Alec Murdaugh back behind bars this afternoon after a judge denied bond for his two most recent criminal charges.
Katie Kamen was in the courtroom for the bond hearing today. She brings us why the judge says he wants Murdaugh to stay in jail, at least for now.
It was a packed courtroom today as Alec Murdaugh went before a judge for the very first time for these latest charges. Judge Clifton Newman says he made the decision to deny bond for Murdaugh because of Murdaugh's financial resources, other pending charges, and his character and mental condition. Today's bond hearing stems from two felony charges of obtaining property by false pretenses. South Carolina law enforcement officials say Murdaugh stole $3.4 million in insurance payments that were intended for the family of Gloria Satterfield. She was the longtime housekeeper of the Murdaughs and died at their home several years ago. Today, Murdaugh sat silently with his head down during most of the bond hearing. After the judge announced his decision, Murdaugh's attorneys and the attorneys for the Satterfields shared their reactions.
We knew it was going to be an uphill battle. Obviously, the public interest and the enormity of the accusations. But we're glad that the judge is concerned about his mental condition, and we think we can get him a relatively clean bill of health by the end of this week, early next week.
But we're pleased. We thought that Alex is a danger to not only our clients but society. We think it's a good decision, and it's just a good day for justice in our country.
Judge Newman also ordered a psychiatric evaluation for Murdaugh. He says he may reevaluate bond once some additional information comes in.
During the hearing, an attorney for the state told the judge Murdaugh is a danger to himself and therefore a danger to other people.
Also this afternoon, a man is dead after a clash with Richmond County deputies. Jermaine Jones' family took him off life support after he spent several days in a coma in the hospital. And today we're learning the 4 deputies involved are on paid administrative leave. Investigator Richard Russell and deputies Leslie Gator, Parker Leathers, and Christopher Brown have been on leave since Friday. That's 4 days after they took Jones into custody. Jones ran from deputies in an incident that started with a traffic stop. They say they pulled him over because of a tinted license plate cover, and they say they found a gun and a crack pipe in the car, and that's when Jones took off running. They tased him. The report says he fell, they took him into custody, but he ended up in the hospital with a traumatic brain injury. Celeste Springer live for us outside the Richmond County Sheriff's Office with what's next for the family, the investigation, and what questions we're still trying to answer. Celeste.
Well, law enforcement and family are both trying to figure out what happened leading up to Jermaine Jones's death. I've been speaking to both sides all day long, trying to piece those puzzle pieces together. Now, according to RCSO 2019 handbook, we have on file every time a taser is used, a microchip records the date, time, and tased for. Then a taser use of force report is written. We've requested one in reference to this case, but we have not received it just yet. There are some other questions we're working to get answered. One other deputy on scene was investigated this past August for an interaction with a woman reporting her son being arrested. We've requested information on the outcome of that case as well, where he rushed towards that woman and she fell. For now, family says at the end of the day, they won't understand the full picture of what left Jermaine brain dead until body camera footage is released.
He's not here to speak for himself. That's what he got me for. And I'm going to speak his name.
And so the GBI is investigating this case. We have requested that body camera footage, but because it's an open investigation, we can't see that just yet. But coming up at 6 o'clock, I'm working on a story digging deeper into what we know about the investigator and deputies in this case, as well as how Jones's family is calling for action.
All right, thanks for that, Celeste. Still a lot of questions in this case. Earlier this afternoon, while jury selection process for the Ahmaud Arbery trial was getting back underway, Ahmaud's family members and dozens of their supporters went to the neighborhood where he was shot to death last February. They gathered and prayed on what leaders in the group called hallowed ground. Now, keep in mind, the potential jurors being questioned now are for the state trial for the 3 suspects. They are still facing a separate federal trial on hate crime charges.
On a lighter note, it is the Braves and
Thanks for watching News 12 on your side.
From the station that's on your side, this is News 12 at 6 o'clock.
4 Richmond County deputies are on leave after a traffic stop takes a fatal turn. Tonight, we're hearing from the mother of Jermaine Jones, who says she's waiting on body cam video to paint a full picture.
I just want answers. There's nobody child deserves that. Once these videotapes come back, they'll hear a whole lot more.
24-year-old Jermaine Jones died yesterday after spending the last week in a coma on life support.
He was hospitalized after being tased during a traffic stop last Monday. The incident report says he was tased after running from deputies when they found a handgun and crack pipe in the car.
News 12 Celeste Springer is following this story for us, and she is live from the sheriff's office with the question that Jones's family says they want answered. Celeste.
Well, there's a lot of questions, the biggest being what left Jermaine Jones brain dead, of course, and what I'm learning today is that there's a lot of questions of whether it was the taser, whether it was his head hitting the ground, or possibly family is left wondering, could it have been something that happened to him after he was taken into custody? Of all the questions of what put Jermaine Jones here, there are some things known for certain, according to his family.
I knew when I walked up there yesterday, before the doctors even told me. When I walked in every room, my son was gone. There was nothing nobody could have said.
And there's other things we've found out for ourselves. One, investigator Russell, the one who pulled the trigger on the taser, renewed his certification to do so last year. According to a 2019 RCSO handbook, that taser would have recorded how long Jones was tased for and put in a report. 2, one of the deputies at the scene, Deputy Leslie Gator, was also investigated last August for rushing towards a woman recording her son's arrest. And 3, body camera footage for this case could mean answers.
I don't have faith in the justice system, but I'm not going to give up.
Meanwhile, the GBI and Sheriff's Office have their own digging to do. Jones's death means one new piece of evidence, an autopsy.
I want my son's name. He's going to be heard so I can't shout it no more.
When body camera footage is released, family tells us they plan to protest.
Once these videotapes come back, they'll hear a whole lot more.
And we requested that body camera footage, personnel files, the use of force taser incident report, and I also asked about what the outcome of that case with Deputy Gator was back in August. I'm told that in that case, Deputy Gator was not put on administrative leave, but they're unable to provide us with any other details. And with that in mind, though, remember that because this is an ongoing investigation, the GBI and the Richmond County Sheriff's Office are unable to disclose a lot of details about this case.
And the next time we can really expect an update is when the GBI closes this out and decides whether or not they will present it to a grand jury. Celeste, thanks for all of those updates out there today.
Also this evening, new details in the case of Yuri Martin, who died after being tased by deputies in Washington County. The murder trial for Rhett Scott, Michael Howell, and Henry Copeland picked back up today. It is the first time the defense is getting to call witnesses. News 12's Kennedy Harris is there to show us who they call to the stand.
As expected, the defense witnesses showed a very different take on the video evidence. One witness saying it was Martin that created the risk, giving deputies reason to react with force.
They looked like they were trying to handcuff him. He wasn't fighting, but he wasn't allowing them to handcuff him either. They kept trying to, but he wouldn't cooperate.
The first eyewitness didn't remember much about July 7, 2017, so the court played back her interview with the GBI from that day.
The 3 of them continued to try to talk to him, and they surrounded him, and he was holler and appear to be not cooperative.
Officers first tased Martin and managed to get only one hand in cuffs.
All 3 of them were on him, trying to cuff him. They seemed to be having some issues.
Martin also pulled off the taser probes, which an expert witness claimed was out of the norm, warranting more force might be needed.
That would further elevate the deputy's mindset of alert about safety, about the strength of perhaps Mr. Martin, mental condition in Mr. Martin, illicit drugs in Mr. Martin perhaps.
Dr. Ross, a use of force expert, testified officers had reason to detain Martin because there was a lot of unknowns, including his behavior and why he was walking down the roadway. He went on to say that with only one hand cuffed, Martin could have used the open cuff as a weapon. After some back and forth during cross-examination, the state identified Ross was being paid more than $18,000 in expenses to testify, and he's testified in over 200 law enforcement trials, always on the side of law enforcement. Another medical expert witness brought by the defense testified how schizophrenia symptoms can often appear as intoxication from drugs or alcohol, which is probably what the deputies could have perceived. Reporting in Sandersville, Kennedy Harris, on your side.
That trial continues tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. The defense will continue calling its witnesses. By Thursday, we could expect closing arguments to begin there.
More news ahead, but less affordable in Augusta.
Perhaps a teenager facing charges after authorities say he brought a loaded handgun and a knife to a high school football game. 17-year-old Lamont Moss facing charges for having a gun under the age of 18 and for bringing weapons on school grounds. This happened at the Hepzibah High School homecoming game Friday night against Cross Creek. Officers say he had a 9mm handgun with a 16-round magazine and one extended 30-round magazine. They say he also had a pocket knife. Moss was immediately taken into custody and no one was injured.
A mask requirement is coming back for public buildings in Augusta. Today, commissioners voted 8-2 to pass that ordinance. So that means anyone over the age of 2 will now be required to wear a mask in all city buildings. That'll start this upcoming Monday on the 25th.
Well, starting this week, states can pre-order COVID vaccine doses for kids ages 5 to 11.
Advisory groups for the FDA and the CDC are set to talk more about approving the Pfizer shot for kids in the next 3 weeks. Here's Mary Green with how health officials here at home are already preparing.
The federal government anticipates 28 million more kids across the country will become eligible to get the COVID-19 vaccine in the coming weeks. Here in South Carolina, DHEC says it could receive more than 150,000 doses for those children in the first several days of that rollout.
Well, it certainly is an undertaking. It is a much smaller one than what we faced with the initial vaccine rollout for adults.
Starting tomorrow, states will be able to reserve doses of the vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds. The federal government says it's already purchased enough that supply won't be an issue.
You may still have to wait a little bit. We can't vaccinate every 5 to 11-year-old in the state on day one. But it should not be a long wait.
Next week, an FDA advisory panel will decide if it'll recommend the Pfizer vaccine for that age group. Then the shot will need the sign-off from the FDA itself and from the CDC before it's available for kids to get.
The message that we as a pediatric community have been delivering is that, yes, indeed, we will carefully scrutinize those data when they are made available for us to review, and not just efficacy data, but the safety data.
Dr. Elizabeth Mack of MUSC Children's Health in Charleston says until they actually have the vaccine on hand, they're talking with families to help them understand and be confident in it.
Since the beginning of the pandemic here at MUSC Children's Health, we've had 0 children admitted with COVID-19 or with NICU who've been fully vaccinated. So we know that the vaccine works. It does what it's supposed to do.
Regulators are expected to sign off on a smaller dosage of the vaccine for younger kids than for what adults and older kids are getting. Now, DHEC says to make sure those kids don't get the larger dose, the vaccines themselves will come with different colored caps, so there's no confusion. Reporting in Columbia, I'm Mary Green.
And here to look at some stats on the Georgia side. 20 Georgians under the age of 18 have died from COVID-19, according to the state's health department. And of those 20 deaths, 12 had confirmed chronic conditions. 5 had their status marked as unknown. But in a nationwide poll last month from Kaiser Family Foundation, 34% of parents of kids aged 5 to 11 say they will get their child vaccinated, and that is up from 26% in July.
If you drive by Fort Gordon, Gate 2, over getting ready to name its Teacher of the Year. Here's a look at the district's 5 finalists. Monica Burnett from Richmond Hill, Robert Jackson from Cross Creek High School, Vicki Knox from Deer Chase Elementary, Rebecca Potter from Westside High, and Kiona Wynn from Gracewood Elementary. We'll keep you updated with who receives the top honor, but great work to all those finalists for Teacher of the Year in Richmond County. There are some great ones out there, McKell.
That's right, and it's good to see all those people nominated for Teacher of the Year right there. Some cool mornings ahead for the next few, and also some warmer temperatures in the afternoon for Wednesday and Thursday. Check out the forecast coming up next.
Plus, 1 in 5 shoppers say they are already on the hunt for holiday gifts. We're on your side with the shopping trends you'll want to stay on top of this year.
Fat Fitter today. I know we're not quite to Halloween yet, but have you started your Christmas shopping? Gridlock Imports starting to back things up.
They are talking to me. I have definitely started. I'm worried about this.
You got to get ahead of it.
I do not like when Amazon tells me it's going to be 3-4 weeks.
That works with you. Those warnings work.
It makes me nervous. But several major shippers are trying to expand their hours to try to free things up. But an expert is weighing in on what the holiday season will look like. 1 in 5 holiday shoppers has already started buying their gifts. That's according to a new survey from NerdWallet of more than 1,000 consumers. 30% said they plan to shop earlier this year than last. And last year, folks shopped early. Kristen McGrath, a shopping and trends expert with the popular app Retail Me Not, says the survey also found this year people are less concerned about safety in stores and more concerned about getting their stuff on time.
That shows me that a lot of people's worst fears came true last year. They didn't get things shipped on time. Things were out of stock. And so that's really what they are fixated on heading into this season.
Shoppers will be facing high demand this year, low supplies and shipping challenges. But there's a bright spot. Retailers know this, and they're moving up the timing on normal holiday shopping traditions.
We expect that we're going to see some deals dropping early in October to get people out there knocking out parts of their shopping list early.
There is optimism this year about in-store shopping, and retailers are planning more in-store events since they couldn't last year. The survey found consumers plan to split their holiday shopping about 50-50 between in-store and online. And above all else, people are looking for good deals. They are looking for free shipping, which I feel that in my store.
That's a must.
Yeah, some businesses like Best Buy, Amazon, and Walmart are doing deals way ahead of time just to try to get people in the door much sooner.
I worry about all the ships stuck offshore, and I worry for dads like me and husbands who we like to wait till the last minute.
This is not a good year for you guys.
That's never a good year. It's always stressful, but we do it anyway. So
yes. Why don't you just go home and figure out something now?
Why don't we? I don't know why we.
Well, this is your message, everyone.
Maybe this is the year.
This is the year.
Let's have a look outside and change this.
New at 11, an Augusta firefighter had to go to the hospital following a fire this afternoon. The mobile home fire happened around 2:30 on Carmel Way.
3 people live there, but this firefighter hurt his lower body somehow, but his injuries are believed to be minor. The mobile home had heavy damage, and the cause is under investigation. Also, fire rips through an apartment complex in Rennes, leaving 18 people without a place to call home. This one happened yesterday at the Pine Valley Apartments. Investigators believe the fire started in the kitchen of one of those units, but the fire chief tells us they are still looking into that.
And while they look for the cause, the community is stepping up to try to lend a hand. Our Celeste Springer is in the studio after speaking with some of the families.
Right now, it's a waiting game for those families. No word on when they'll be able to collect their things. And right now, it's too dangerous to go back inside and get whatever is left.
LaShonda Boatwright walks us towards her home, reflecting on everything lost.
I got a lot of smoke damage, a lot of water damage. So everything is just destroyed. It's really nothing that I can save.
While the flames overtook this building, her daughter was fast asleep upstairs.
But he got her out in time, and I thank God for my son.
Everyone made it out alive, but what didn't make it out, their belongings. Boatwright still has no idea what's left inside.
Some stuff probably could have been saved, some stuff couldn't. But you need to let us know when can we get in and walk in the house.
Police pulled up while we were here. They were just making sure that no one went inside the building. It was here that Boatwright learned whatever she has left might never make it out. The building could collapse on everything she owns.
We got pictures and everything in there of our loved one. It's a hurting thing. It's hurting.
But while these apartments are frozen in time and the smell of smoke lingers in the air,
God don't make no mistakes, y'all. As long as we still here.
If you look close, there's a message in the rubble. A single cross rising from the ashes.
I spoke with the fire department today. They tell me the state fire marshal will be at the scene starting tomorrow. They tell me they are still working on figuring out what exactly happened, and they say they're getting 2 different stories from tenants. The renter I spoke to tells us hopefully once the building is inspected, she'll be able to collect whatever is left of her things.
And certainly a tough situation for a lot of those families. Neighbors at the Wrdw Police Department are holding a clothing drive to try to help out. There are 2 different drop-off locations if you want to help. One is their police station on Main Street in Wrdw. The other is the State Farm office that is on School Street in Rennes. And we have a full list of items they're looking for, as well as drop-off hours posted online at wrdw.com. A new preliminary report. You've seen the animated plans. They are so impressive, these designs. But now the team is taking the project from concepts to more concrete plans.
The Augusta-Richmond County Coliseum Authority hosting their final design presentation. It's going on right now. Our Sloan O'Connell live for us downtown to tell us more about the goal of the presentation today. Sloan.
The goal, a brand new experience and big investment that could create a new future for Augusta. And today they say they finally fine-tuned all of the new details, and the designs didn't change too much from the original ones. The Coliseum Authority say they want to respect Augusta's history by maintaining the bell, but still connecting the 2 to make them one big entity. It's supposed to be flexible depending on how big the acts are, opening more seating, or making the show more intimate. It would be able to host events like basketball, rodeos, monster trucks, wrestling matches, but they say no hockey matches. Construction of the project would create over 1,000 new jobs, bring $1.5 billion in economic impact, but right now the money would fall on the taxpayers. One local man is running a campaign against the bond referendum needed to pay for this. He says he would love a new arena, but it should not be the priority.
Our grass that is overgrown, our houses that are boarded up and falling down. We need to do more about the core stuff. So very much like not having a job but going and buying a new car anyway. We really just can't afford it right now.
And coming up tonight at 11, I'm working on a story diving deeper into what the new arena could mean for Augusta's future and how concerned citizens feel.
All right, thanks for that, Sloan. A lot of questions left to answer on this and a lot more steps forward.
And if you live in Richmond County,